The Brooklyn Nets just made a trade that has serious implications on the Oklahoma City Thunder, as now they only have Cameron Johnson left to trade away that they're trying to get rid of. They already traded Dennis Schroeder. They just traded away Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. They traded away their three, out of four guys that they really want to get rid of that are making this team much better than what they wanted to be because they're trying to compete for top tier, top four pick in this year's draft with all this talent that they have in it, but they can't do that when they had players like DFS, Milton, Schroeder, and then now Cameron Johnson as well. And so this might open up the path now where Oklahoma City is going to land Cam Johnson. This is probably what's going to happen. And I say probably more than likely when you look at what Oklahoma City can offer, when you look at the other teams involved that are trying to go after Cam Johnson, you have the Lakers, all right? Yeah, Lakers are always favorites to land someone because it's the Los Angeles Lakers. But after this trade, I don't think they're going to try to make a trade with the Nets anymore. Maybe try to go after a big man like Jonas Valanciunas, Walker Kessler, someone along those lines. That's what they really need. The only other team that's kind of in talks for Cam Johnson are the Golden State Warriors, but I figured they would have traded for him along with Dennis Schroeder back a few weeks ago, and they didn't. And so this kind of got me thinking, I think Oklahoma City is in the running now to for sure get Cam Johnson. I think no other team is going to be talking to Brooklyn to get Cam Johnson. It's either he's going to OKC or he's staying in Brooklyn. There's no in between anymore is what I'm thinking. So we're going to break down everything that happened today regarding this Dorian Finney-Smith trade and why I think it's going to impact the Thunder trading for Cam Johnson along with an article I found. And comparing two players that I think kind of shows that someone might be getting moved here for a Cam Johnson trade. It's technically going to be an upgrade when we look at it. Before we get all that, though, just a quick moment to say that I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. We're trying to reach 2,500 subscribers. I had that goal set for the new year. We're at the December 29th now, around 90, 85 subscribers away from that. If you guys enjoy the content that we put out here on the channel and you want to support or help us reach this goal, the best way to do so is just by hitting that subscribe button. And if you subscribe and we do giveaways and stuff, you're automatically entered into those giveaways. So, you get some cool benefits once you're subscribed. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into, the whole shebang going on with Oklahoma City and Cam Johnson. As this has been going on for what feels like a century at this point. Oklahoma City Thunder have been favorites to land Cam Johnson, which I think was like 3 weeks ago. Now it's Golden State. I don't think that's likely. I think it's going to be Oklahoma City or no one at this point. I know the Grizzlies have been talked about, but I don't think that they have necessarily the players or picks that they'd be able to give up to Brooklyn that they really want, because an article I found the other day, they really want him. And also, like I mentioned, all right, with this whole trade right here, all right, this one right here, of D'Angelo Russell going back to Brooklyn, along with Maxwell Lewis and 3 second-round draft picks. They got the second-rounders that they want now. All right, they traded away Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. This team's not looking good anymore in the coming weeks. I'm figuring, I'm sure a trade for Cam Johnson is going to happen to Oklahoma City. But this is the exact trade, and it's really going to shake things up in the NBA regarding these players. So let's go ahead and look at an article covering this real quick. All right. Little sneak peek there that you guys just got. I forgot to change it. I'll explain that in a minute. But the buzz around a possible trade for Cam Johnson is as loud as ever and will likely only intensify ahead of the February 6th trade deadline. The latest report from Clutch Points, Anthony Irwin, mentions that the Brooklyn Nets are hoping for at least one first-rounder in exchange for Johnson, plus additional second-round picks or a promising prospect. The report also mentions that the Nets are looking to take on long-term money as part of any trade right now, unless it's as part of acquiring a young player with potential. This nugget was also reported last Saturday. Brooklyn is projected to have up to 70 to 80 million in cap space next season. This was written by Wilco Martinez Cachero over at Sports Illustrated. So interesting little piece that we have there. Okay. Interesting little piece of information regarding Cam Johnson. And I think he is the perfect fit. We've talked about it multiple times here. I get it. His defense is subpar. I get it. But in any trade scenario for Cam Johnson, you're not giving up defense. All right. You're not giving up any of your top 5, even top 8 defenders for Cam Johnson whatsoever. You're getting rid of players that are barely playing or have taken a step back offensively. That's all we've talked about so far. Trades involving like Ousmane Dieng, Kenrich Williams, who is solid, but realistically, is he getting 15 minutes come playoffs? No, he might get like 5. All right, just being honest about that. We have a bunch of better players than him. Once Chet comes back, I see a decrease in Kenrich Williams' minutes, along with guys like Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. But that's just the natural order of things, how it goes, along with, the rise of AJ Mitchell, which you guys kind of saw that. We're going to be talking a little bit about that in this video in a few minutes. But just all those different, scenarios going on with the team. I think Cam Johnson fits perfectly. He's a great 3-point shooter. He brings size. He's 6'8", 200 something pounds, averaging like 4 or 5 rebounds a game right now. I saw someone comment like, he's not a 4. He's only averaging 4 rebounds a game. Chill, Unk. It's not the 1990s anymore. Okay, there's something called a stretch 4 who shoots a 3 ball. Okay, that's what he is, and that fits into OKC system perfectly. Some other teams it doesn't, but OKC he fits in perfectly. Let's look at the second part of this article now, real quick. The Nets have already been active in the trade market, sending Dennis Schroeder to the Golden State Warriors for 3 second-round picks. Two-way guard Reese Beacom and D'Anthony Melton out for the season after ACL surgery. The Warriors are currently the favorites to trade for Johnson, followed by the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Lakers. I think the Lakers are out now after this Dorian Finney-Smith trade, and I do think the Warriors are out because I don't think they're willing to trade away Podziemski or Andrew Wiggins, two guys that a lot of people are asking for, and I don't think they have the draft capital to trade to Brooklyn either. The Thunder have the most assets to offer the Nets. However, the latter already had talks with the Warriors involving Johnson during the Schroeder deal. Per Jake Fisher, the Thunder have the most assets to offer the Nets. However, the latter already had talks with the Warriors involving Johnson during the Schroeder deal. Per Jake Fisher, I don't know why that was involved, there twice, but whatever. All right. It's just one of those things when I look at it. If Golden State was going to trade for Cam Johnson, they would have done it back into the Dennis Schroeder deal as well. That's my whole point. It would have been done by now. Okay. Just straight up, they would have traded for him. So I think the Warriors are out the table realistically, and they could still possibly try to trade for them. I still think that they're so stuck on Brandon Podziemski over there and Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga that I don't think they're willing to get rid of them, and they don't have the draft capital either that Oklahoma City has, or the young promising talent that Oklahoma City has either. All right. And speaking of young talent, let's go ahead and look at the young talent Oklahoma City has. One guy who's been playing very well, and let me get this clip straight. All right, you guys may have saw him earlier. I am not saying trade AJ Mitchell. I want to keep this dude. I think he is our backup point guard. Okay. He has been playing very, very well for the Thunder, averaging 6 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Okay. Defensively playing very well out of the perimeter, almost a steal a game right there, less than a turnover a game, not fouling a bunch, and he's shooting very well, 51% from the field and 45% from 3. His 3 ball has really impressed me. It was all right in college, but he really took a step during the summer and in the summer league and everything to become a key rotation piece for this team. And he's starting to play like maybe he's the true 6-man for this team. He got the start the other day, all right, and played very well against who was it? The Charlotte Hornets. Granted, it was the Hornets; they were injured, but even then, in the start, he showed out, and it's the fact he got the start over someone that's been with the team for a long time. And yes, I am talking about Isaiah Joe right here. Now, you may look at the stats and be like, okay, decent stats: 8 points a game, 3 rebounds, all right, 1.5 assists. Defensively, he's not the greatest player either. You got to keep in mind he's playing like 20 minutes a game and only averaging like 7 steals. And it could be better 20 to 25 minutes. Not turning the ball over a ton, but he's only shooting 35% from 3 and 38% from the field. His shot at a majority of the season has looked like it's taken a step back. We know he's a great 3-point shooter. We saw it last season, but it's kind of taken a step back, which is the surprising thing. Almost 8% of all his shots are 3 balls. And so shooting 35% in that regard, I don't really like that whatsoever. And I know we've talked about Aaron Wiggins a ton. He had a great game last night. Maybe all he needed to do was take a trip home, but I do think one of these two guys between Joe or Wiggins could be traded in a Cam Johnson deal because they want someone young with potential, and Isaiah Joe has that potential. And speaking of which this is a trade I thought of, okay? I've been thinking about a bunch of these trades, but this is something I thought of that works out, okay? Isaiah Joe, Ousmane Dieng, 2 young players. Ousmane Dieng, you could extend. He's not going to get a max extension whatsoever. He's not going to cost that much to extend. Isaiah Joe's locked down a long term on a relatively cheap deal, by the way. You give up a 2025 second-round pick via Atlanta, a 2026 first-round pick, our pick right there, 2027 first-round Los Angeles Clippers swap possibility. If not, swap with the Nuggets. And for Cameron Johnson, I think this helps out a ton right there. As you can see, it's projected to get us 2 more wins right there. Our offensive and defensive ratings actually go up getting Cam Johnson. So talking about defense right there, everyone that says he is a subpar defender, this actually helps out our defensive rating, getting him on the team right there. So it's just one of those things. I think this is a great trade. I do. Now, I hate trading away some of these fan favorites and guys that have been on the team for a long time, like Isaiah Joe. I get it, emotions and everything. But at the end of the day, I keep on telling you guys this is a business, okay? I get it. As fans, we get emotionally attached to players, and that's perfectly fine. We're allowed to do that. Just you got to realize sometimes your favorite players are going to get traded. A bunch of people were upset when Josh Giddey got traded over the summer because a lot of people really liked him and thought he has potential. And I still think he has potential. However, it helped the team out more by getting Caruso, who's going to bring us closer to a championship than Josh was. The same thing can be said for Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson could potentially bring us closer to a championship than Isaiah Joe. All right, definitely more than Ousmane Dieng, who's barely even playing right now. He got some garbage time against the Hornets, but other than that, he doesn't really get time outside of garbage minutes. And we have the draft capital to spend because it's not like we're going to be using all these picks. We keep all our picks in 2025 right now at the moment because I think Brooklyn already has 3 first-round picks next year in the draft, potentially. So it's one of those things where we don't trade away any 2025 first-round draft picks, just picks later on. And I think this gets a deal done in Brooklyn. Maybe they're just waiting on that January 15th deadline where Joe and Wiggins can be traded, and that's why Johnson hasn't been traded yet. And that's kind of my hypothesis and kind of speculation at this moment is the fact that a Johnson deal hasn't been done is because Joe and Wiggins cannot be traded yet. So these next 2 weeks or so are going to be very important for them to determine which one potentially gets traded. If either, if they really step it up, I don't think either gets traded. But if Joe keeps playing down, all right, like he has been, maybe he gets traded because he does have potential. He showed it last year. He's a great 3-point shooter, great scorer. Maybe Brooklyn wants that and like, okay, maybe we can keep him around along with Cam Thomas. All right, we get a high draft pick here this year. Boom, we have a squad that can potentially, compete in the East in 2 to 3 years. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know, but that's kind of what I have for a Cam Johnson deal. That's all I really got for this video as well. Let me know what you guys personally think. After this Dorian Finney-Smith trade to the Lakers, do you really think that the Thunder are the only team left that's truly out there to get Cam Johnson, or do you think other teams can somehow swoop in even though they don't have the assets or draft picks that they can give up like Oklahoma City? Because I truly don't. Memphis, I don't see them being able to do it. Houston, then they can't do it. I don't think Dallas will do it either. I think they're content with what they have right now. I just don't see any other team competing for them. That's all I got. I'll see you guys in the next one.